Love's going to get a run out. He hammers it down.
It's live action out there.
We're back. Time for another edition of the Carolina Insider. It is a rapid reactions edition after Pittsburgh gets the big win for them in the Smith Center. Carolina's first home defeat of the season, 65-64. The final. The show's brought to you by Modelo. Jones Angell Adam Lucas here with you. And you're going to hear my conversation after the game with Coach Davis coming up in just a little bit. Adam, it's hard to simplify it down to this because it was more than this. But the Tar Heels just really struggled to shoot the basketball in this game. 23 of 66, that's under 35%. 5 of 27 from three-point range. 13 of 22 at the free throw line. All well below season averages for Carolina. And it was more than just these two individuals, but Armando Bacot, RJ Davis, Carolina's two leading scorers coming into this game, a combined 6 of 25 from the field. Those are tough numbers to overcome against a good team, which Pittsburgh did.
Yeah, Pittsburgh was just good enough to beat the Tar Heels. Of all those numbers, really the most surprising one is at the free throw line, where you just don't expect Carolina to shoot 59%. And, of course, then when it ends up being such a close game, you rue those even more. It felt like R.J. Davis maybe not at 100%. We know he had the finger issue last time out, and there was hope that open weekend would get him healthy, but he didn't look quite right, and that hurt Carolina.
Adam, this was a physical game. It was an emotional game. There was a lot of chatter on the court in this one, and it just kind of felt like it was right there on the edge for a long time in this one.
It was every Carolina-Pittsburgh game you've seen for the last 3 or 4 years, especially since Jeff Capel's been there. That is what they want to do. You can see in the way they attack Carolina, they feel like they can push the Tar Heels around and get Carolina a little off their game. And there were times in this game where I thought it worked. There were times in this game where Carolina handled it better. It felt like that double technical maybe at the end of the second half, or the start of the second half, might be a little bit of a turning point where the Tar Heels sort of, all right, guys, we're going to pull this together. Mm-hmm. And just that surge never came. Pitt got out to that 7-point lead when Nelly Cummings got so hot, and that was just enough points on a night when the Tar Heels couldn't shoot to have enough to hold on.
I think you saw every one of Armando Bacot's made field goals there in that little package that you just saw. He was 3 of 10 from the floor. He did get to the free throw line 15 times, made 9 of them. Caleb Love, Carolina's leading scorer with 22. Bacot had a double-double, 15 and 11 and 13 for Pete Nance. And Adam, you saw Love here, and it felt like at times he was the only one able to provide some perimeter offense for Carolina.
4 3-pointers for Caleb Love, and some of them from long range, as you can see. He was mostly pretty aggressive going to the basket, had some occasional defensive issues, but this was a night where Carolina needed offense, and he was the place where the Tar Heels were getting it most consistently.
So Pitt wins at 65-64. Panthers have now won 5 out of the last 6 against Carolina. They are just the third team ever to win 3 consecutive games in the Smith Center against Carolina. Duke had a stretch from 1999 to 2002 in which they won 4 in a row. Wake Forest won 3 in a row from 2002 to 2004. So Pitt becomes just the third team that has won 3 in a row in the Smith Center against Carolina. I tell you what, let's get to my conversation with Coach Davis after the game. We'll come back. We'll talk a little bit more about this one and look ahead to the weekend as well for the Tar Heels here on the Carolina Insider. Yeah, thank you, Dave. Alongside the head coach of Carolina basketball, Hubert Davis, after Pitt gets the 65-64 win in the Smith Center. Coach, this was back and forth the whole night. Your thoughts on obviously a difficult outcome here in the Smith Center?
Well, we just didn't play well enough. It's what I told the team after the game. We weren't good enough. We weren't tough enough. We weren't disciplined enough to win the game. At the end of the day, you have to make plays on both ends of the floor in order to put yourself in a position to be successful, and we just didn't do that. We couldn't get stops when we needed to get stops. We couldn't get rebounds when we needed to get rebounds. We didn't shoot the ball very well. We missed 9 free throws. We got after it in terms of rebounding. Offensive glass, I thought we had 19 rebounds, offensive rebounds, but very limited second chance points. And at the end of the day, you have to play well to win, and we just didn't do it.
Armando was 3 of 10. RJ was 3 of 15. Those are very unusual numbers for those two guys. What were the challenges in your mind for them offensively tonight?
Well, I thought RJ had wide open looks. It just didn't go in. And I think statistically he leads, the ACC in free throw shooting percentage. He missed 2. I like those 2 back. And they played well defensively against Armando. They were physical with him. They bothered him. And where he was dominant the first time that we played him, it just didn't work out that way this game.
When you are in such a tight game like that, every possession, of course, is going to matter big. Your thoughts on that last 30 seconds or so? You guys had the ball up 1.
Up by 1, and we ran a play that we had scored on a number of times in the second half. It gives us an opportunity for Caleb to get downhill. If that's not there, it's a wide open look for Pitt, and if that's not there, then we have Armando sealed down low, and we threw it to him down low. I couldn't see how he traveled, but it's stuff that we've worked on. If they double team, that whoever throws the ball in bounds goes strong side corner 3 and give them an outlet. And up by 1, under a minute to go, all you need to do is a score stop. And we didn't get a score, and we didn't get a stop. And so whether you're in the ACC or whatever game, if you can't get a score, you can't get a stop, it's going to be very hard to win.
This was such an emotional game, it felt like, out there on the court. How do you try and help your guys not get caught up in that when it is a very physical, emotional game?
Well, I do want them to be emotional. I think, in order to play this game, you have to play with emotion. That's something that I've, tried to get these guys to understand, that you have to play with emotion in order to be the best that you can be, but you can also play with emotion but also be under control. And I've always believed in letting your play do the talking, and all the other stuff is, that's just, to me, it's just a waste of time. And so I think at times we did lose our composure, but we were able to gain it back. But at the end of the day, we just didn't make the plays in order to win.
Understandably, you're a little frustrated, I'm guessing, after this one. How do you channel that now moving forward?
Well, how you channel it is you have to. There's, I told them before, there are times in life that you are going to get knocked down, and you have a choice. You can stay down and whine and complain and make excuses and point fingers, or you can get back up and start to fight and compete. And I told them that that's their job and that's their requirement, and that's my expectation of them, because that's what I'm going to do.
All right, guys, that's Hubert Davis inside the Continental Tire Coach's Corner. So Carolina falls to 15-7 overall, 7-4 in conference action, still in the top half of the league, but every one of these games is resulting in so much movement because the teams at the top are so tightly packed. And Adam, you never want to lose a game. You never want to lose a game at home. But what it really does for Carolina is it puts the Tar Heels back against the wall a little bit. These next couple games were always going to be important anyway. At Duke on Saturday, at Wake on Tuesday, 2 very difficult road trips. It feels like, not that they weren't important, but it feels like now Carolina really goes in needing some positive results.
Yeah, you're in this stretch where you're playing 8 games in a row against teams with winning ACC records. So you knew this stretch was going to be tough. You're playing the best teams in the league. This was a very close one-possession game. To win these types of games, you're going to have to execute better in those situations. Pretty sure Saturday's probably going to be close. So Tar Heels going to need to shoot it better, and they're going to need to execute better when they get the chance to have the ball, maybe up 1 with 45 seconds left. You've got to get a shot to the rim one way or the other, and that's something that I am certain will be emphasized in practice Thursday and Friday.
So Carolina goes on the road Saturday against Duke. That is 6:30. We'll be on the air radio-wise at 5:30 for that one. Then it's at Wake Forest after that. We won't have a rapid reaction edition after either one of those, with both of those being on the road, but two big ones certainly for the Tar Heels coming up in the next week. Not happy news for Carolina after this one. Pitt sneaks out with so Pitt gets both wins against Carolina this year by a total of 3 points. 65-64 the final tonight. Thanks for being with us here on the Carolina Insider.
Glove's going to get a run out. He hammers it down.
It's live action out there.